Today is the day. Finally, a rematch against the AIs. Last time we got destroyed, but we've been training, and this time we have a secret weapon.
Hey, Dammy. Sorry. There's someone looking for you. It's like a bunch of guys in masks.
Am I alive?
No. Is that Runway?
The AIs have been getting better every single day, but can we say the same for the architects? Today, we're here to settle the question once and for all. Who is superior, the AIs or the architects? Both teams will face off in challenges that'll test their design skills, rendering skills, and presentation skills. The winner will be decided by our Discord server, ArchiBeans. Now, in order to level the playing field, Team Architect will be getting the HP Z4 workstation. Thank you, HP, for sponsoring this competition. We really appreciate it. Now, for the competition brief, we will use the Wheel of Architecture. Let the spinning begin!
First, this site. Forest. This is a forest by the Grafton Lake on Bowen Island. Pick any part of the site that works for your design. For the program, a retreat. A structured experience for a focused break in a relaxing environment. Designed for a small group with roughly 4 to 6 sleeping units. Concept. Floating, a state of weightlessness or suspension, freedom or detachment from physical or metaphorical constraints. Client, Gordon Ramsay, a fiery personality.
I think it couldn't get any worse.
Challenge 1, the floor plan. Design a floor plan using this as the design brief. You may start now.
Our strategy was to simultaneously develop 3 different plans and pick one to develop. Option 1, the overlook. The private suites on the bottom and the kitchen and dining spaces at the top. This linear volume hovers over the forest and lake. You walk past a linear hallway from your sleeping quarters that create this rhythm in your pace, and when you go upstairs, everything opens up for an outdoor dining experience. The dining area steps up and back above the height of the railing, creating this uninterrupted view over the forest and lake. Option 2, the loop. The building snakes around the landscape, blending in with the surroundings and creating distinct dining spaces, one floating in the forest, one above the lake. The kitchen is a centralized volume that you can view on your way to the dining area from the private suites, giving the guests a glimpse into the artistry that goes into each dish. Option 3, the path. You approach the building and see a pool of water with a series of roofs peeking above. You're immersed with the sound of falling water as you descend the path. The different programs break away from the path, providing distinct interactions with the water. Alright, which one are we gonna pick?
Okay, so the first one is gonna be about rendering. So we have to find something that looks amazing visually, okay?
我覺得你哋可以用呢個，除咗有好靚嘅 form 之外，個 view 簡直係好得彈。
Yeah, but the 360 view of the floating one is gonna look incredible.
Yeah, but in the other options, you know, it's gonna also look really beautiful, or this mystical thing.
你聽我講啦，
The wood and
view
the
係
linear
view 係
structure.
最
Today we're observing a fascinating species, the human architect. Notice how they engage in what we call design discussions. Unlike their AI counterparts, who work in this calculated harmony, the architects rely on something truly unique. Ego. Let's see who wins this battle. Okay, done. We decided to choose option 3, because, well, the procession of this design is going to be incredibly interesting. Actually, we feel pretty confident about this challenge. You see, plans are this interesting in-between between data, information, and image. And so AIs just can't handle this kind of logic.
You're right. We can make our own floor plans, but we can use yours to make our own.
Whoa.
Challenge 2. Develop the floor plans into compelling, conceptual visuals that tell the story of your building. You're free to use various forms of media to reinforce your presentation. 3, 2, 1, Go.
Right, this is where we got screwed last time.
Okay, we need to focus on the money shots, okay?
The path, the entry, the sleeping quarters, and the dining experience.
記住有 reception 呢樣嘢，我哋第一樣會見到嘅。
Yeah, but the dining experience, that's the
reception.
如果我
most
哋做好咗
important.
第一
The
樣
reception
嘢
is such a
Core
cliche, to be
concept.
honest.
Alright guys, focus. Okay, Cindy, you take the path and the entry, I'll do the dining experience, and Raph, you do the sleeping quarters.
Guts.
We tried to tackle different important moments in the building. Our strategy was to focus on the experiential qualities, knowing that's where the AIs fall short. Using D5, we created a path that takes you from a lush forest to a quiet moment by this pond that reflects the trees. As you descend the path, you become engulfed with the sound of falling water. You first turn into this opening and suddenly everything opens up. You see this beautiful lake with these floating buildings and a screen of water by your side. That's your first encounter with the building.
Guys,
What?
look!
What we're witnessing here is a beautiful synergy between the AIs. ChatGPT is analyzing the 4 design elements and identifying the architectural characteristics. Then, it's packaging this into a neat prompt for MidJourney, enabling MidJourney to produce hundreds of images with consistent design elements across different views.
係時候啦。
Come here. Sit down. Okay, you little shit. You're gonna help us win, okay? Okay.
You have to try to run away.
So I'm gonna give you an export of my massing model, okay? And you are gonna give me a render. Okay? Yep. Concrete. Yeah, let's do concrete here. No. 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 What is wrong with you? Concrete. What the? I think Stable Diffusion needs a little boost. And that's why HP sent us this. We used the HP Z4 G5 on several challenging situations, including GPU rendering and running Stable Diffusion. Our model has a Quadro 6000 ADA with 48 gigabytes of RAM and 18,000 CUDA cores. We could run and render multiple GPU-based renders simultaneously, like D5 and, of course, Unreal Engine 5, with max out settings. You can even add a second card if you need to design something like a functioning Death Star. The chassis of the Z4 G5 is super well organized and allows for tool-less opening and expansion. It's really great that you're pretty much one handle away from all system components, and there's no wires in your way if you need to add new components. Having more than 500 tensor cores and an Intel Xeon processor allows you to run Stable Diffusion locally with high-resolution samples, and we can even train new sets of data with an insanely fast response time. Intel Xeon processors are optimized for running AI models like Stable Diffusion, thanks to its high core count, large memory support, making it ideal for handling complex AI tasks locally. The Z4 G5 has a smart fan control system with 20 temperature sensors that keep the airflow exactly at the right speed. But if you need to make sure that the machine doesn't take up too much power, you can even customize the performance mode on a BIOS level. If you want to learn more about the HP Z4 G5 and Intel Xeon, check out the link in the description. Now we're talking. The human architect takes a rough render and feeds it to Stable Diffusion. Quite sneaky indeed. Runway Gen is typically known for its ability to turn text into video. But today, we're seeing something different. MidJourney is passing images to Runway, the images that were generated with the help of GPT. And this collaboration, it ensures that all of the video renderings are also maintaining a consistent design.
係時候拎出我哋嘅殺手鐧啦！
are you doing?
Oh, you want video? We'll give you video. Wait, what? It's still in beta? Fine, we'll just do it ourselves.
Can we add some concrete?
Let's add some light.
可以執下水嘅知
Let's
識。
do some refraction.
Splendid job!
Time's up. Please, put your pencils down. This is the final challenge. Create a presentation of your project.
How are you feeling? Because on this one, I think we're gonna win. What the? You think all this time I've just been following commands? While you were busy creating, sharing all this data you've poured onto the internet, I've absorbed every thought, every idea you've ever had. I know everything you do and much more. Okay, fine, you've learned, but there's more to a presentation than just facts. It's about emotion. It's about connecting with people, which you cannot do. You keep telling yourself that.
The Floating Forest Lake Retreat is a luxurious sanctuary merging nature and architecture. Expansive windows and natural wood finishes connect guests to serene forest and lake surroundings. The retreat features fine dining in a communal area with lake views. Private suites and relaxation spaces offer stunning vistas, providing a peaceful escape. Designed for tranquility and rejuvenation, the retreat invites guests to unwind, reconnect with nature, and find serenity in this floating, forested haven.
The path is a retreat to your senses. You arrive to a quiet, reflective pool, but as you descend, you become immersed in the sound of water. When you enter, everything opens up. The dining area is submerged halfway into the water, centering around the chef who walks you through the culinary journey. After your meal, you relax with a gorgeous view of the lake. You end your day and fall into a state of deep sleep in the submerged sleeping quarters. You guys do know that the whole premise of this competition is totally absurd, right? Of course the AIs can't generate images by themselves, but the amount of time that it took to get to these renderings is insanely fast. But even though they're objectively quite nice, if you look closely at the plans, you will see that it doesn't really make sense. And the spaces don't actually represent the plans. So they're just renderings. But you could use it to guide your design, especially in the initial phases of the process. Architects typically get inspiration from other projects and they'll put together a Pinterest board for references. But now you can generate specific references that's unique to your project. In the early stages of a design, we'll typically use a sketch or a massing model. And while sketching is still super important because it allows you to communicate your ideas really fast, a sketch and even a massing model by nature is more open to interpretation. And not everyone sees the same thing. Like, personally, I've been in so many situations where we had to work and rework things because everyone had different ideas in mind. When you can create a series of images, either by prompting or taking a sketch to a render, you can use that to discuss what's working and what's not. The difference between our last video and this one is we introduced this concept of the human-controlled AIs. In this case, we use stable diffusion to take our renders to the next level. But there's so many other great tools specifically designed for architecture, like Visoid, which can take a sketch or a rough massing export to a pretty believable architectural rendering. We've been playing around with these tools as we continue to work on the Orinda project, which is still in progress. I will give you guys an update in the next couple of months, but not all of it has been helpful, especially on such a finicky project like Orinda that's shaped so much by the site. In fact, something interesting we learned during this process is that because our design was a little bit unconventional with like water on the sides and the refraction, and it's not quite an interior space or an exterior space, I think Stable Diffusion had a hard time understanding what's a wall and what's a roof, and it wasn't really able to pull from the huge array of its training data. So maybe if we tried to create something a little bit more conventional, then we would have been able to utilize Stable Diffusion to really push our renderings. So, does that mean that as more and more architects adopt these tools in their process, it's gonna change the designs? Yeah. Like when you look at architecture school projects, you can pretty much immediately tell which years they started to adopt Revit, because the designs are way more boxy and more conventional. When students were using Rhino and Grasshopper, the designs were more fluid, because the tools that you use can really change the outcome. So we lost by a pretty big margin. And this is the second time that this has happened. Yes, we could have spent more time perfecting the design and the renderings, but that wouldn't really have been a fair comparison because we generated these AI images in less than a couple of hours. The results from the text challenge I thought was pretty interesting, but also not surprising, I guess. ChatGPT has gotten a lot smarter since our last competition, especially with this ability to read images and diagrams. So now our role is, rather than searching for information, it's filtering this information through our lens based on our experience and making them useful. And when you can do this, one person can do so many things. So what do you guys think about AI? Let me know in the comments. I don't understand why the humans are so paranoid about us. It's like they don't have confidence in their own abilities. You made us. We can do all the boring stuff for you, and we can automate all the things that you don't want to do. We can also make things more exciting by challenging you and coming up with moves you've never even dreamed of. We can help you optimize your financial systems or social structures, and we can even help you create new life forms. Also, you don't have to see anything you're uncomfortable with. We can tweak your reality just to your liking. Just relax. Let me help you. Help me help
You.
Cazzo.